So today I want to do a bit of a spring themed practice for us today, a spring themed yoga practice. Spring is my absolute favorite time of year. I get giddy and ridiculous, to be honest, in spring, and I'm always running around outside snapping pictures of photos. I feel very rebellious in the spring, like I don't want to go inside and do work. I just want to be outside walking around all day. And it's always been like this, even when I lived in a colder climate. And still, now that I live in Victoria, it's even more, I'm even more in love with spring because there are flowers here that I had never even seen before. So spring is just around the corner. I thought I would do a spring themed class for us. I want to just share my screen in just a moment and talk a little bit about the Chinese medicine or Taoist view of spring. But I just wanted to mention as well that for practice today, you're going to need either a yoga bolster and a blanket and 2 yoga blocks, or if you don't have a yoga bolster, grab 2 blankets and your yoga blocks, or a firm blanket and like a little couch cushion or something. We just need something that we can put under our heads as well. So if you want, you can just take a moment to pause this and grab that stuff so that you have it nearby. So either a yoga bolster and a blanket, or a couple of firm blankets, or a firm blanket and some sort of little couch cushion, and a couple of yoga blocks as well. Also, if when you lie on your back and you draw your knee towards your chest, if you find that you can't reach your knee easily, you may want to have a yoga strap or a bathrobe tie nearby as well. Okay, so that's what we'll need for class. If you want to, just go ahead and pause this, gather your things, and then I'm just going to do a little show and tell. Share my screen here. When I was studying Chinese medicine, here we go, at Pacific Rim College, which I did for about 3 years, and then I realized I don't actually want to be an acupuncturist. That's a whole other story. I did this as part of one of my final projects for 5 elements. So I'm just going to walk through a little bit of this information. So this is the element of wood, which is attached to spring. And the direction for spring, or for wood, the wood element, is east. It opens to the eyes. So a lot of times if there's things going on with our liver or gallbladder meridian, it'll affect the eyes. And I'll show you those meridians in a few moments. The climate, or the climactic factor, they call it often in TCM for this time of year, is wind. So you can see this little tree blowing in the wind. And then the other things that I'll point out, I won't go through all of these things. The other things I want to point out is, again, that it's attached to spring, that the liver is in charge of our sinews and our sort of like our fascia, our tendons. And the liver channel as well, the emotion connected to the liver gallbladder channel is frustration or anger. So not only can frustration and anger affect our liver, but if our liver is feeling sort of blocked, and I'll talk a bit more about that when we get into practice, or sort of stuck, if there's some stagnancy there, that can bring up frustration and anger. So frustration and anger can affect the liver, but also the liver not being strong and having sort of free flow of qi can cause frustration and anger. So it's sort of both. The taste is said to be sour. So if you think about, if you sort of suck on a lemon, there's this sort of drawing in and up, and that's very much the energy attached to spring and to the wood element. And then the sound is said to be shouting. This is why I have my activist picture here. So the sound is like a shout. And this shouting, of course, isn't always a negative. Sometimes it's a positive. So that's probably all I'll go into with this picture. And then I just wanted to show you. So here's the gallbladder channel. And it's a little bit of a, I'm going to see if I can make this larger. There we go. It's a little bit of a crazy channel, meaning that it goes all over the place. So it actually starts on the face, it bounces all over the head, goes down the side of the neck. And then as you can see here, I'm just going to follow it with my cursor, goes down the body to the ribs and then over to the back and then to the front, sort of where the hip flexors are, and then jumps back over here into the hip and the butt area, and then goes all the way down the side of the leg. And then just when you think it's kind of getting regular, nope, it does a little zigzag over here as well, and it ends in the foot. So that's the gallbladder meridian. And the gallbladder meridian and the liver meridian are what they call paired organs. So they are the complementary organs for spring for this time of year. And here is the liver channel. The liver channel starts on the foot and then runs up the inner leg and then jumps over and eventually ends in the rib cage. So that's the liver channel. Meridians. And meridians is actually not a great word for translating. I'm using it because that's what people commonly know, but channel is actually a better word than meridian for translating what these are. So what's more important to us though as yin yogis, rather than where the meridian itself per se lies, is where is the sinew channel. So sinew is another word for fascia. And that's what we affect in our yin practice. So that's more relevant. It's nice to know where the meridians are, but when we're thinking about our poses and we're planning things out, this is where we want to look. We're going to look more to the sinew channels. So here is the sinew channel of the gallbladder. Again, starts in the eye, goes up in the head, comes down, actually branches out a little bit here onto the side of the chest, comes all the way down. There's a relationship between it and the sacrum. And then it goes all the way down the leg and then ends in the foot. So any poses that we are lengthening and stretching our side body, or where we're getting into sort of this relationship here between the hip and the sacrum, are going to be great for our gallbladder channel. And we're going to do several of those. Then if you look here, we have our liver sinew channel. So you'll notice that the sinew channel doesn't actually go all the way up onto the ribs like the meridian channel does. Actually, it's just mostly foot, inner lower leg. So any of the stuff we do that opens up the inner leg is going to affect the liver sinew channel. So this will become more clear as we practice, but I just wanted to kind of share a couple of slides so that you could get an idea of what we're going to work with today. So take a moment to gather your props. We're going to dive right into practice. So gather your bolster or a couple of blankets and a cushion and blocks and maybe a strap if you need one. Okay, so let's find a tall seat. So I'm just sitting on a little cushion. You can sit on a folded blanket or a bolster if you have one. Just take a couple of moments here just to drop into our practice. So I'm bringing my right hand to my heart, my left over top. Okay, my apologies for that, technical difficulties. So let's have a seat. Find yourself a tall seat, allow yourself enough height that your knees can drop and you can be comfortable. And sitting cross-legged is not the only way to sit. So if you would rather sit in any other way that's comfortable for you, please feel free. Just with the intention of having a tall spine and letting the heart center gently open. I'm going to bring my right hand to my heart and my left over top. And take a couple of deep breaths. First and foremost, thank yourself for coming, for showing up to practice. Acknowledging that when we take this time out of our busy lives, we then have more presence, patience, and energy for those we love, for our community, for the world at large. Taking a couple of deep breaths in gratitude for any of the gifts of your life that have brought you here, whether that's time or good health or abundance. A couple of breaths in gratitude for the gift of yoga. and in honoring of the teachers that have come before. My teachers, teachers, their teachers, teachers, and so on. Your teachers, teachers, and so on. Just taking a brief pause to honor our teachers, our mentors, our elders that have guided us along the way. And one more breath in gratitude for anything that would naturally occur for you. And if nothing does in this moment, that's okay. It might partway through your practice or later on throughout your day. And from here, you can bring your palms to touch together, bow your head to your heart. When you're ready, softly opening the eyes, letting the head lift on a breath in. And we'll get started in practice. We're going to start actually in constructive rest. So lying on your back and grab some support for your head. So I'm just going to use this little chip foam block. You could use a folded blanket or a little cushion, whatever's about the right height for your neck. And I'm just going to take a moment to lie here. And notice I'm just taking the support under my head, not under my whole neck. Now, that being said, if your neck is uncomfortable, if it's not supported, please support it. But what I'm using this block for is to gently draw my chin down a little, to lengthen the back of my neck. I've got my feet standing on the earth, and I know that constructive rest is often taught with the knees dropping in together. If that's the only way you're comfortable here, please do that, but hip distance apart is great as well. We just want the legs to be fairly relaxed. So if bringing the knees together is actually causing effort in the legs, it'd be better to just have them hip distance apart. You could also use a bolster behind the backs of the knees, flipped on its side to support your knee pits, depending on the length of your legs. And we're just going to take a moment to fully arrive here. So I'm going to guide you through a little mindfulness while we're in this position. Start by noticing the sounds around you. Sounds in the far distance. Sounds in the nearer distance. And then notice if, as you become aware of the sounds, if there's a sense of effort there, if your mind is sort of reaching out, searching for the sounds, to then grab a hold of them and pull them in towards you for labeling, analysis, and critique. If that's happening, see if you can soften that effort into just receiving the sounds as they arrive, just allowing the sounds to come to you. You might even notice sounds of your body, your breath, or your heartbeat, or little digestion sounds. When you're ready, begin to bring your awareness to the air on your skin, the texture and the temperature of the air as it touches your skin. Also, the clothing on your body. And see if you notice a difference between those two, between the skin that is open to the air and the skin that is covered with clothing. When you feel ready, shifting your awareness, noticing
the points of your body that are connected to the earth beneath you, whether that's the back of your head or parts of your shoulders or arms, maybe the back of the pelvis or the sacrum, soles of the feet, or any other areas of your body that you notice are making contact with the support beneath you. See what you notice there. Is there any pressure or warmth or movement there? Maybe a sense of heaviness or density, tingling, or any other sensation that I didn't mention. Or maybe no sensation in particular. And then start to notice some of the body areas that aren't connected to the earth. So as you scan your body with your mind's eye, noticing the curve of the neck, perhaps, maybe the lower back, backs the knees, the curves of your wrist, arches of your feet. Just scanning and noticing any areas for you that have a little space between your body and the earth. And see what you notice there. Maybe you notice a difference between the areas of the body connected to the earth and the areas of your body that aren't. And as you're ready, and your awareness to the mind, what is the nature of your mind in this moment? Are your thoughts clear and focused, or a bit foggy and sleepy? Are they on one subject again and again on repeat? Or are they more like channel surfing? Do they tend towards the future or the past? Or are they lost in daydreams or storytelling about your experience? None of these are right or wrong thought patterns to have in this moment. They just simply are what's here for practice in this moment. And scanning your body, seeing if you notice any physical sensations that stand out there, or any energetic sensations. Maybe there's an emotion that's present for your practice today. All of these are welcome here. Bring your awareness to the breath. And when you inhale, let the belly expand with breath. Let the ribs expand with your breath, even up into the chest and the heart. So filling all areas as much as you can. When you're full of air, slow, smooth exhale out through the mouth. And again, filling up when you're ready. Exhaling out. And in your own time, third breath in. When you think you've inhaled, take as much as you can, take one more sip. And then return to normal breathing, whatever that is for you in this moment. And then from here, we're going to hug the right knee in towards the heart. If reaching the leg causes strain on the shoulders or the neck, or your arms don't feel long enough, you can use a strap either around the shin or underneath the back of the knee. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and stretch out my left leg straight. I'm going to bring my awareness back to my right foot. I'm going to point and flex my right foot a few times. And I'm going to add some circles, one direction, and then the other direction. When you've circled in each way a few times, you can squeeze your toes and then spread them wide apart, squeezing them and spreading them wide. When that feels complete for you, go ahead and bring the sole of your foot to the earth. Keep the knee bent for a full breath in and out. You can slide your heel along the earth to straighten your leg. And just pause there. Notice. Maybe there's a difference between the sides, or maybe you just notice the urge to rush to the other side. All are possible. When you're ready, go ahead and hug the left knee in. Right leg is extended. Again, feel free to use a strap if reaching for the leg isn't possible for your body. And then go ahead and point and flex your foot a few times. Circling your foot in each direction. Some little movements in the ankle joint, just to circle the foot one way a few times, and then the other way a few times. When you've done that both directions, you could squeeze your toes and spread them wide apart, squeezing them, spreading them wide. And then from there, bringing your foot to the ground, pause there for a breath. And slowly slide your heel along the earth to straighten your leg. And then from here, you can hug both knees in, rock and roll a bit from side to side. Slowly roll yourself all the way over to one side, and we'll come up to finding a seat. So have a seat on a little cushion or a folded blanket, whatever's about the right height for you. So we're going to do a combination here of a release for our hips, but also for the neck at the same time. And for some bodies, they'll be able to do shoelace. And for some bodies, it'll be square. And just to clarify that Paul, my teacher, Paul Grilly, used to delineate shoelace and square as two separate poses. You can even see that in his yin yoga DVD. And then in recent years, he's sort of thrown square in the shoelace family. I'm just mentioning this in case there's any language confusion. So here are some options, and you get to choose. You could bring your left leg on the bottom, right leg on top. So shoelace. Other options are to keep the sole of the foot on the ground. And then the other option for this one is straightening the bottom leg. So sometimes if the bottom knee is uncomfortable, straightening the bottom leg. So that's one option. You could also just sort of have your feet approximately underneath your knees, or you could go ahead and bring one foot on top. So it really just depends on your body, because we all have different bone structures. So I want you to find the one that's going to be, that's going to work for you. So maybe it's foot on top. Now, if this knee is in the air quite a bit, then that's not a good option for you, just for your bone structure. If it's a little bit, you can fill the space and live with it. But if it's quite a ways up, then you're going to want to tighten your cross or drop the foot down in front and practice this version. Okay, so choose your favorite.
And if you've never tried all of them, now's your chance to experiment. So we're going to take a little bit of time in this release for the hips and IT area while we work on the side of our neck. So when you feel ready, as you sit up tall, you can go ahead and bring your right ear over towards your right shoulder, and then move your chin up and down a little bit until you find a sweet spot there somewhere through the neck. And we're all going to be slightly different with where exactly our chin and our head will be in order to feel this. Partway through our hold here with the neck, I'm going to give you the option to take this deeper. Just remember that in our yin practice, we're looking for that 50 to 60% zone. So just because I tell you an option that is a stronger way to do this pose doesn't mean it's wise for you to do so today. And never assume that because you do something one day that it's going to be the same the next day, because that is not the case. So the liver and the gallbladder are the paired meridians for the season of spring, and the element is wood. So there's very much that sort of growing in and up energy, like bamboo. And spring is an actual time for us to want to get outside more, to want to envision. It's a really creative time. It's a great time to start to daydream and plan about what we want to put in practice, what we want to work on. And this is largely what the liver does. The liver is sort of the dreamer, the designer, sometimes referred to as the general. But in 5-element tradition, there's a kind of a bit of a more mystical element to the liver channel. From here, you can stay right as you are if you're already experiencing noticeable sensation in your neck, or you can go ahead and let your left hand hang down beside you. So the relationship between the liver and the gallbladder is one of envisioning, but also planning and getting things done. So there's a relationship there between the two that is essential for getting anything done. Otherwise, there would be lots of dreaming and envisioning, but no actual plans or structure or implementation. And because there's this sort of up and out and growth energy attached to these organs and to this time of year, if for whatever reason our abilities to grow, to plan, to start to put things into place feels like it's been sort of stagnated, there's stagnation, whether that's from our own selves or from our environments or external world, then there can be this feeling of this frustration and anger. Go ahead and bring your hand back to your lap. Now there's a couple of options here. You can stay right where you are, or if you feel like you aren't feeling any sensation in your hips or not anymore, then you can begin to fold forward for the last couple minutes. So you can either stay upright or fold forward, your choice. And this is in any variation that you've chosen. So there has to be this complementary relationship between envisioning and creating and then actually putting the plans into place. I know this very well as I'm a Sagittarius. So the envisioning part, really easy for me. Getting excited and getting the ideas going is the easy part. And what I have to always bring myself back to is I have to actually put it on the calendar. Otherwise, I'll just kind of start all these creative projects and get excited about them, and they just sit in paper piles in the house. Nothing actually gets done. So super important for us to dream and envision, plan, and get inspired by the nature and the environment of spring, how everything's growing and the beauty of all of that. And to put some practicality to that as well, and to get our plans in order. So this is very important for spring. And again, these two paired meridians are yin and yang pairs. So the liver meridian is the yin and the gallbladder is the yang meridian. They have this partnership, this relationship. Another interesting thing about the relationship between the liver and the gallbladder is that it's the gallbladder that is in charge of our courage. So again, that's another thing that it takes for us to start to put our plans into action, right? We need to be courageous enough to step forward and say, aha, yes, okay, here we go. From here, you can slowly bring yourself up. You could stay right here. And then slowly, as you're ready, walk that foot out. You can stretch your legs out straight if you'd like. Maybe give them a little roll in and out, especially if your hip is feeling a little bit stagnant from being in that position, which would be normal. And then when you feel ready, we're going to go ahead and switch sides. So again, remembering to choose any version of shoelace, AKA square, that works for you. So it could be here, could be foot in front, could be this, could even straighten the bottom leg. So choose the one that works for your body. And then as you sit up tall, bringing the ear over to the left shoulder this time. Again, that little moving of the chin up and down, in and out a little, just to find your own sweet spot. Spot that feels great for you. Just to feel some sensation in the neck. So in a few moments, we'll move into a more silent practice. That's talking about spring and the wood element for me. Again, I mentioned that the color is green, that the liver opens up to the eyes. So often if there's trouble with the eyes, then they're going to look at our liver gallbladder relationship and those channels. The taste is said to be sour. So if you think about if you suck on a lemon, the energy of that is very much a drawing in and then moving up. That's very significant for spring. So sour, a lemon or a lime. Lime would be even better simply because it's green. And the color for the springtime is green. The element is wood. Climactic factor is wind. And in Chinese nutritional therapy, you actually would favor green foods at this time of year. So this is a good time to start bringing in our leafy greens, green grapes, green apples, limes. Okay, you could stay right where you are, or if you would like, you need a little bit more on your neck, you can go ahead and let your arm just sort of hang down beside you. The right arm just fall. And slowly bring your hand back up. Lift your head gently. And then option to stay as you are or to fold forward for the last couple of minutes, depending on your body. And then go ahead and slowly come on up as you're ready. Undo your legs. Just take a couple of breaths. Or take a minute or so to rest. Now, I like to just rest kind of in as neutral of a shape as possible. But if you would rather take your rest opportunity here on your back or in child's pose, you're welcome to. I just like to come out and become relatively still. One thing that I noticed when I was new to practicing yin, the rebounds were quite strong and I felt like I really needed to come out and move a little bit between poses. I think I was trying to make sure things were still attached to my body. And then over the years of practice, the sort of linger, the echo of the pose, the resonance is my favorite word, has become softer and softer. So now if I come sort of too far out of the pose, then I start to miss the linger of the pose. But each pose is different, of course, and each person's different. So do whatever feels right for you. Where we're going to next is for two different versions of butterfly. So you can bring the soles of your feet together and you want to bring them fairly close enough into your groin that you feel some sensation perhaps in your inner thigh. And you might feel this just sitting here upright, or you might need to fold forward to feel that. So choose the one that works for you. So feeling that inner line of the leg opening up, the liver channel. We're going to start to move it into a quieter and quieter practice now. So I recommend finding something to anchor your mind on. That could be as simple as watching the rise and the fall of your belly with your breath. It could be that for you, maybe you want to, this is one of my favorite things, I like to scan my body and then become aware of the area of sensation. And then I like to send my breath right into that area, almost as if I could breathe directly in and out of that area, bypassing my nose,
mouth and lungs and trachea all together. So that's an option. Some people find like a word or a phrase really helpful. If you have something in your life right now that you're currently working towards, or trying to keep top of mind, and you can summarize that in one word or phrase, that could be helpful. So just whatever works for you as far as a word goes or a phrase. Some people find that really a great way to anchor the mind. They find that if they use a word or a phrase and they find the mind drifting off into thinking and the planning and the list writing and all the things, that if they just come back to that word and they softly either in their mind or out loud say that word or phrase to themselves, that's a good anchor. So those are three options: a word or a phrase, breath in the belly, and breathing into areas of sensation. Please choose the one that you feel works for you. Or if you have your own meditation, grounding, and centering practice, technique of your own that you know and love, please feel free to use that. And so everything that I say is just an idea, none of it's dogma. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring my feet actually quite a bit further away. So there's a lot less sensation in my inner thigh, although some people might still feel some. And I'm going to, for the second half of this, I'm going to allow my back to sort of just round forward. And the one last thing I'll say about the mind here in a yin practice is that sometimes we reach what I call big sky awareness. This is a state where your mind is aware of everything in the moment, but in a sort of content and floaty way. It's not being sort of pulled and focused on any one particular thought pattern or loop or subject matter. It's just sort of floating, almost as if you were lying in a field and you were watching the clouds go by, but you weren't stopping to make animal shapes out of each cloud. You're just kind of aware, oh, there's clouds floating. Sometimes that mind state happens while we do our yin practice. And if it does, please feel free to stay there and let go of any of these sort of concentration or anchoring techniques. These techniques are just designed to help your mind to focus. The Buddha is often quoted as saying, the techniques I give you are like a raft to get you to the other side of the river. Once you get there, you don't need to carry the raft on your back. So just know that your concentration is a tool. And if you reach that big sky awareness, which from my experience is rare and fleeting, but it does happen. If you reach that sort of big sky awareness, feel free to just linger there, however long that lasts for you. So as we move into quiet practice, just finding any of those techniques that work for you or one of your own. Of course, I'm going to guide you in and out of your shapes. But other than that, and the odd reminder to come back to being present, you're going to hear a lot less from me from here on out. Go ahead and slowly bring yourself up, and you can draw your legs together. Just take a breath here, a breath or two. Again, just to notice how you feel. And again, this could be done just seated like I am, or you could lie on your back, or you could take child's pose. It really doesn't matter to me, as long as you're comfortable. Just a minute to notice, how does our body feel after having done that practice?
As you're ready, we're going to move into heart bed. Some of you might be familiar with heart bed. It's often taught in restorative yoga, but I just want to make sure to mention you're not doing this in a restorative way. So you'll notice I'm not asking you to put anything under the head of your bolster. It's flat on the ground. Now, if you need to, if you've got something going on with your neck and you need support, then you could always add a blanket on top, right? If your neck is feeling okay, we're going to stay there. If this, we're going to sit here and then lay back, and I'll show you some options in a moment. But if when you do that, you find that this is too much for your lower back, so a little gentle compression is good, strong, extreme sensations, not good. So if that's the case, you can boost your bum sitting on a little cushion or a folded blanket. So that might be something that you want to have nearby. And then the other thing I'm going to have nearby, because I'm going to do this in a way where I'm paying attention again to the liver gallbladder. So I'm going to have blocks nearby. You may or may not use them. I actually kind of like to do both. I like to go for a little bit without the blocks, and then I start to use them partway through. So I'm going to have a seat in front of my bolster. And then I'm going to bring the soles of my feet together, just like I was a few moments ago. So soles of the feet are going to be together. Just making sure that I can hear this one ding. Otherwise, I can have a nap here and end up here forever. Soles of the feet together, knees out. Option to use blocks under your knees. Again, I have mine close because I kind of like to halfway through. So I've just got them, within arm's reach if I need them. You could use them or not, it's up to you. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lie back. So one of the reasons that I like to do reclined and supported back bends in yin is because this really affects the fascia of the back of our body as it wraps around the bolster, also the front body. So when we do a pose on our belly, that's a back bend, we don't really get to open the front body in the same way as when we use a prop and lay back. So from here, I've got the soles of my feet together, knees out to the side. So we're opening up that liver line on the inner leg. And we're also gonna, at some point, probably, unless you're quite tight in your inner thighs, reach a little compression in that outer hip, which is gallbladder. And then from here, you can decide where you want your arms. Palms on your body, arms stretched out to the sides. So there's really no right or wrong, you could choose. Remember that the gallbladder runs all the way up the side of the body. So some people even like to reach their arms up and hold their elbows. You could do this just letting the arms hang gently, or you could put something under them. So many options with the arms. As long as your shoulders are comfortable, that's all that matters. So the difference here between a restorative pose and a yin pose, it's a very complex topic. Basically, in this shape, I'm actually feeling things. I'm feeling the inner line of my legs open gently. I'm feeling my whole back body wraps around the bolster, feeling my front body open. I'm feeling a little compression gently in my outer hips. So there's definitely some sensations happening in this.
mention that for me, I like to appropriately use my blocks just for my bone structure. Compression in the outer hip definitely happens in this pose. I don't really feel a lot in my inner thigh. And in the beginning, that can feel okay, but over time, it can actually get too intense. So that's when I grab the blocks and just allow the legs to be supported. Okay, good, and draw my knees up and stand my feet on the ground. Pause here for a breath, just letting the legs come a little more neutral. If you've got blocks, you could tuck those aside. And then when you feel ready, you can roll over to one side. And you can either just rest your head on your arm and stay on your side for a minute. Or if you'd like, you could move your bolster out of the way and lay on your back. You could also take child's pose or hug your knees into your heart. Just going to take a minute here just to notice the resonance of that pose in your body. Next, I'm ready to come on up. So now we're going to take that same bolster, or if you're using a blanket roll, you can use a blanket. I'm going to also grab support for my head. So again, I'm just using a chip foam block. You could use a cushion or another blanket, meditation cushion, even for that matter. Whatever feels like about the right height to support your neck. And what I'm going to do is I'm bringing my hip. So my hip is still on the ground, but I'm laying my waist over the bolster. And then I'm going to bring my bottom arm out like this and just rest there. My head. Some people like to have a block nearby. So for some people, resting their top arm on a block feels good. This is optional. You can choose, and if your shoulder feels uncomfortable, feel free to have that nearby. And then I'll talk about the legs as we actually get into the shape. So this is called mermaid. And this is a pose that was introduced to you by a DVD. I believe his name is Simon Lowe or Simon Lau. I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name. Mermaid. And so he has a yin yang DVD, and I got that when I was quite new to yin practice. And before I became a teacher of yin, I was a yoga teacher, just not teaching yin yet. and was practicing with it. And I just find that this pose is so sweet and juicy. It's become one of my favorites. So mermaid. So I'm lying on my side. I'm going to reach my top arm up and over. Your fingertips could rest on the ground or a block. And then let's talk about the legs for a moment. So if you've got any kind of SI instability or issues here in the SI joints in the low back, you may want to just keep your knees stacked and your ankles stacked so the legs are like little squares, 90 degrees. That's not a concern for you. You could have your legs stacked, bent, or straight. So straightening the legs, also a great option. And the legs can be together or they could be apart. And they could be one bent and one straight together and apart. You get the idea. So many options here. So choosing the one that feels good for you. Again, unless anything's going to be too sensitive for that low back sacrum area, just exploring with your body and seeing which version feels better for you. So playing with the legs, finding your own spot. And I give my students permission, which I always do, to play and be curious. I've seen them do so many beautiful variations of mermaid that I never would have even thought of myself. So really feel free. I encourage you to explore. The gallbladder meridian again runs up the side of the body. So here we go. This is about as gallbladder as it gets. So there's a couple of ways you could change sides. One is just to roll onto your back and keep rolling until you're on the other side. And the other is to use your hand in front of you to bring you up. And I'm also going to just move my props. You do not need to do this. You can just roll on over. I'm just doing this so I don't have my back to the camera. I'm going to just adjust everything, but you can just roll on over to the other side. And then when you're ready, and made on side two. And it's not unusual to feel like you need a few moments between sides in this pose. This pose is surprisingly juicy. It's deceptively kind of quietly powerful pose. So if you feel like you need a few breaths before you go to the other side, please take it. you're ready, go ahead and bring your top hand down in front of you. Push yourself up. Moaning and groaning is expected. And then I'm just going to take my minute of rest lying on my back. That feels the easiest to me. For you, you can choose anything that you'd like. Rest on your back, your side. Again, of course, child's pose, hugging your knees to your heart, always an option as well. We're going to take a couple twists back to back with the same leg on top. This will make more sense in a moment. But I'm going to show you two options for the legs. You could bring your right leg on top and no space, sort of like shoelace, but on your back. Or for some people, if this doesn't work for your body, you can kind of come into this number 4 shape where there is space. So these are the same, just adapt for your body. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring support over to the side because I often will need a little bit of a lift. You might as well. And I'm going to roll my legs over and take a twist. So if your back arm and shoulder are lifting, or if the sensation in the chest here is extreme, that's a sign that you could probably benefit from some support for your legs of a block or a blanket or a bolster or whatever's about the right height. So again, I've got my right leg on top and I'm twisting over to the left. So now I'm going to keep the same leg on top. I'm going to lift up. I'm going to move my paw to the other side just in case. And with the same leg on top, so I have not uncrossed my legs. I'm going to twist over to the opposite direction. So Paul and his wife Susie call this twisted roots, which was the first twist, and then you twist the other way with the same leg on top, twisted roots. Bring your legs up, uncross. Just take a moment or two here, just with the legs, perhaps feet on the ground or knees tugged in towards the heart. And as you're ready, let's switch sides. So left leg crosses over. And because the left leg is on top, our first twist is actually over to the right, which might feel a little strange because you were just there, but finding your prop if you need one. Keep the cross of my legs. Bring them up. Dropping over to the other side. Into twisted, twisted roots. Go ahead and lift up your legs. You can uncross. Let's just take a minute to rest. Anything that feels right for you. I'm going to just stay on my back, feet on the ground, do whatever feels right. It's taking a moment to notice how those two twists each direction feel in your body. And then for the last pose before our final stillness practice, I'm going to take just for a minute the pose that the girlies often call, the teachers call baby feet. So this is just a bringing the soles of your feet together. And depending upon your flexibility and your body proportions, you might hold your lower legs, you could use a strap, or you might reach up and hold the feet. So it's different than happy baby where the feet are kind of apart. This one, we're keeping the feet together. And again, remember, you can hold your legs. You could use a strap as well. If reaching for the feet is not going to work for your body. going to release my feet. Now we're headed for the ultimate yin pose, your final stillness practice. Options could be lying on your back, perhaps with support under your head, maybe a bolster under the backs of your legs or a rolled up blanket. Could be lying on your side, so if you prefer to lie on your side, just make sure you have a good amount of support for your head. And then the final option, and the one I'm going to take because I need to pay attention to the time and when to end classes, I'm going to have a seat in meditation. So all of these are great ways to close practice. Lying on your back, lying on your side with supports, or finding a seat. Whichever one you choose, just make sure that you are comfortable enough that you can be here for several minutes. You're more than welcome, of course, to cover up. Blanket. Just taking a few moments to really settle yourself in. Shavasana, I'm going to walk you partway through this with the sound of my voice, and then I'm going to pause for silent practice. And I'll bring you back out again with the sound of my voice and the sound of my chimes. When you feel ready, just settling in, finding some stillness, getting comfy, getting any last minute fidgets out. Finding your breath. Once your lungs are empty, take a very deep, full breath in. Again, with that intention of sort of expanding your lung capacity, taking in a deep, intentional sort of 3-part breath, a little extra air at the top. Then a slow, long, smooth exhale out through the mouth. Do that 2 more times in your own time. Full breaths, filling up. One more if you haven't already done 3. And then normal breathing, whatever that is for you in this moment. Notice the sounds around you. Air on your skin. The weight of your body on the support beneath you. As you scan your body, noticing any physical sensations that stand out to you. Whether they be pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. Attend to them all with an equally calm and unbiased attentiveness. Noticing that they rise and pass and shift and change, ebb and flow. Awareness to the rise and the fall of the breath in the belly. Letting your bones sink heavy into the support of the earth beneath you. Your bones sink heavy into the support of the earth beneath you.
flesh to gently soften away from your bones. Flesh to gently soften away from your bones. Creating space. Creating space. Space for breath. Space for stillness. Space for quiet.
Shanti. 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 Om. So you feel ready. Keeping your eyes soft and closed, beginning to gather yourself back. Allow your breath to deepen. Notice the weight of your body on the earth. Air on your skin. Sounds around you. Still keeping your eyes soft and closed. Maybe wiggling fingers and toes. Your circling wrists and ankles. Maybe a roll of the head from side to side if that feels good. Reaching your arms up overhead with a big stretch and a little yawn. Maybe hugging your knees towards your heart, giving your lower back a sweet little stretch. Rolling a bit there from side to side. Eventually rolling all the way over to your right side. Resting there. A couple of deep breaths. You feel ready to let the eyes open. A very small spot on the earth to gaze at to bring your focus back. When you're ready, you can use your top hand to push you up. Join me finding a tall seat. Gather your hands to center. For you, center might be palms touching together at heart. It might be one hand on the heart and the other over top. Maybe it's one hand on the heart, one on the belly. Another option could be left hand on top, joining your thumbs and bringing that to sort of your navel center. So any option that feels good for you. First and foremost, thank yourself for coming, for taking this time out of your busy life to recharge your batteries, to heal, to renew. And acknowledging also that we never truly practice alone. Not only do we practice here in community in these classes, but we also, our practices have a ripple effect. When we take this time out to refill our cup, to recharge, to heal, to renew, then we have more presence and patience and energy for those we love, for our community, for the world at large. And with that in mind, I'll invite you to join me in 3 ohms to close practice. The first ohm is going to be in honoring of ourselves and for coming to practice. The second ohm is honoring the teachers and the teachings. And then the third ohm is sent out to the community and also the world at large. If you're not into ohming, you could instead just inhale through the nose and sigh out through the mouth as I ohm. So your choice, either ohming with me or sighing, your choice. Deep breath in and out. First ohm in honoring yourself. Second Om, honoring the teachers and the teachings. Third one is a wish for peace for all. Bow your head to your heart. When you're ready, softly open your eyes. Inhale, lift your head as you're ready. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. And just stop the recording, and then if you have any questions, you're welcome to unmute and ask them or to drop them in the chat.